belongs. Join today and find your why. Learn more at ymcasatx.org.
San Antonio's Sports Center.
We have a new national champion as Ohio State beat Notre Dame 34-23. They finished as the unanimous number one in the AP poll. Texas was fourth. The Cowboys, their coaching search rolls on as they are in the middle of interviewing a surprise candidate, offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. We'll be talking about that coming up on Extra Innings with Pleasure.
If you smoke, take it outside. Get the facts at don'tpassgas.org.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Appreciate y'all for riding along. However you may be joining me this evening, whether that's on 94.1 on your FM dial, if you happen to be locked in online at sasportstar.com, listening via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player, or if you're watching on YouTube, of course, with the snowstorm, maybe trapped in home, maybe you are watching via YouTube. I appreciate it if you are. We stream all of our shows live on YouTube. Just go there, search at SA Sports Star. Go ahead, like, subscribe. You can comment along with the show. Appreciate everybody for rolling through. Ramiro says, that's my jam. Rolling out with that intro fire. Appreciate it. Love that. Blackway. What up, Danger? One of my, it's a bop, man. It goes hard. It was from the Into the Spider-Verse, the first incarnation of those movies, and it's always been just a fire beat. So really had to have it in my show open, so that was part of it. Lots to get into today. Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer's name appears out of absolutely thin air and apparently has real merit for some reason. I'll explain my thought process behind what I think's going on with that coming up a little bit later in the show. Plus, the Texans, Joe Mixon, talking about potential offseason moves, where they could be headed this offseason, because it sounds like Trader Nick Caserio, the general manager in Houston, has something up his sleeve. And the fact that Joe Mixon knows about it tells me that that something could be a very big thing. We'll get into all of that. But first, we have a new head coach, at least right now. One more vacancy off the board as Ben Johnson got hired by the Chicago Bears. What that means for the Bears franchise and the rest of the dominoes that fall into place with that. The Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson got talking about what was going on with Ben Johnson, the hiring for the Chicago Bears, what it means for them and what it means for the rest of the landscape in the NFL right now with those head coaching vacancies.
The Chicago Bears have found their man, Rob. The Bears get Ben Johnson after 28 million interviews. They settled on Ben Johnson, who I know a couple of Bears fans, they are very excited about this. Ben Johnson was, I think, if you were looking for the sexiest hire this cycle, Ben Johnson was the sexiest hire you could make this cycle.
By far. He's jumping into some shark-infested waters. That's all I got to say. I mean, good men have failed at this job. There have been a lot of hot candidates that have landed in Chicago over the years that just got up against it. But every now and then you get a Sean McVay. You know what I mean? So the best to Ben Johnson. I hope you overcome and become something more than the myriad of hot OCs that have taken the next job and just gotten into situations just like first-round draft pick quarterbacks that they can't win. They, and they have owners with short fuses and GMs with no job security, and it just falls apart. The Bears have always been that. Let's just hope he's the guy that can turn the tide. We'll see.
I mean, you said Sean McVay is like he's the guy who is like kind of set the bar for what these guys are capable of. I know it's hard to think that Shanahan has not won a ring yet, because I don't know why, when I think of the guys who have really succeeded, Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay are the two that come to my mind.
He's in that. It's no slight to Kyle. I just thought of McVay first. I mean, it's just that search for the coordinator that also has the, I don't know what you'd call it, chutzpah, corporate understanding of how to run an enterprise beyond just one side of the ball, and it's just, you combine that with, the family that owns the Bears. Do you think they use smartphones? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
You're trying to run an organization and you're working for a couple of dinosaurs that really, it's their boat, it's their plaything, and it's just a very difficult place to stay successful. And like I said, good men have failed. I'm not going to say better men than him because I don't know him, but good men have showed up there and been run out of town and never quite been what we thought they were going to be.
It always seems everybody's always chasing the young hot offensive coach. Yet there were more defensive special teams backgrounded coach in the playoffs than offenses. It was 8-6 defensive and special teams coaches had but here's the thing. I think a lot of these guys that the best, we talked about this, the best kind of like in your face leaders of men types tend to come from that side of the ball, that defensive side, while the best, offensive, or the best play callers seem to come from the other side. And because you want that guy's play calling, you're willing to promote him to the head coach, even though maybe he's not built to be like the CEO of the company. You want him badly enough. The only way to get him is to make him that. And of the six,
can I throw out a premise?
Sure.
I want to throw something out that I'm not sure I'm sold on, but it's something that as I was watching the playoffs, it kind of struck me that the league is set up for offense. I mean, there's a lot of things defense can't do that they used to be able to do. So, if you've got a good quarterback and good wide receivers, I don't know what your system is. I don't care what it is. Those guys find a way. And I think the true search for the coaches now, given the way that the league is set up, is find an offense that fits your quarterback. I don't know what that is. I don't care how good the coach is. But you've got to play defense to win a championship now. You've got to overcome the rules. And if you can find the coaches that can put together a defense and the owner that's willing to pay that kind of defense and get a coach that can do that kind of things, and then we add in what you just talked about, those leaders of men types, they're always on the defensive side of the ball. And you kind of throw all that into one. And I think that's why so many OCs don't make it, because they're just not prepared to do the kind of things that offensive or that head coaches have to do. And that's sometimes erring on the side of defense, paying defense when it isn't sexy, paying your defensive tackle all that money, taking the money away from a wide receiver that'll probably end up leaving because it's that extra million that you lost in the bidding process kind of stuff.
But on that same note, if you look at the last several years or even the last 2 years of coaches that have been fired, Mike McCarthy offense, Antonio Pierce defense, Doug Peterson offense, Gerard Mayo, Matt Eberflus, Dennis Allen, Robert Saleh, Ron Rivera, Pete Carroll,
defense,
Arthur Smith,
a little bit off.
Arthur
Smith offense.
So that's in the last two cycles. That's 10 names. 3 offensive guys have been fired. 7 defensive guys have been fired.
Yeah, Chicks dig the long ball, man. You might be losing. Better score some points too.
So I think that's something to pay attention to.
You got to hire the hot OC. It's kind of like, I'm not arguing with it. I just think that the path to long-term success, even though I watched the Harbaughs both get exited, is that style. Just play the game so you're in a position to win at the end. No matter how you get there, just make sure you're in a position to win the game at the end. And if you're good enough at it, more often than not, you'll win them. Only problem with that is when you win, boring. When you lose, it's so god awful ugly. You get fired faster.
Well, and also as the game evolves, you expect these young guys to be able to kind of change with the times in a way that maybe like the more old school guys can. And I know like Andy Reid's an offensive guy, but if I said
he's a unicorn,
who's going to have more success 5 years from today in that version of the NFL, will it be Andy Reid or Matt LaFleur? Or generally, Mike McDaniel, one of those guys, like who's going to be more in tune with how football's working right now?
The OC.
It's the young guys.
And I get it. I truly do. And I would hire Ben Johnson too. I think they got the guy that they should have gotten considering their quarterback and where they're trying to go. But I just know that in this situation, where they are now, considering they do have the quarterback and they got 3 years of time, I'd just gone and gotten a head coach that kind of just knows where the minefields are, that just has been kind of around the bend. And I think that's why so many OCs that do get hired that come in to work with a quarterback exclusively because of what the investment is, get burned because the rest of the team is still in this utter disarray. And no matter how good the quarterback is, he can't overcome that.
Maybe the quarterback can't overcome that, but Ben Johnson hand-selected this job because of that quarterback. There's no doubt in my mind that Ben Johnson is trying to align himself in the best possible position with the best quarterback for him and his system to continue to thrive in the NFL. And look at what he did with a Jared Goff. Imagine what he can do with someone with the talent that a Caleb Williams has. The important thing, because a lot of his offense is predicated on timing, 3-step, 5-step, is going to be who's going to be his quarterback's coach, who's going to help him groom Caleb Williams into being more on time with his throws and less buying time and getting a ton of pressure in his face. That, and remember, he had the best offensive line in football. He's going to have to rebuild that in Chicago as well. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com, and on YouTube at SA Sports Star. A lot going on as Ramiro is just finding out about the TGL. TGL is awesome. I am hooked. Like, that has been so much fun. A lot of people wondering about, the Cowboys and their coaching search. Well, they're in an interview currently with Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator from this past couple of seasons. And it's going to be very interesting to kind of see which way they go with this, because somehow in Vegas, he is now the betting favorite, according to DraftKings Sportsbooks. What does it all mean? Well, the Blitz was talking about a little earlier this afternoon, and I have my own theories as to what's going on with Brian Schottenheimer. We'll have the latest as they come out of those meetings, whether there's going to be a contract or not, or whether this is all just posturing for something else. Coming up next, right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
San Antonio Sports Star.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
On Super Sunday, you could be the crunch time hero. PorkRinds.com is bringing you a game-changing twist to your big day because it's also Pork Rind Appreciation Day. The crispy, crunchy, crave-worthy snack you love deserves its moment. PorkRinds.com is celebrating by giving you a chance to win tickets to the 2026 big game in Santa Clara. Enter at PorkRinds.com and become your own crunch time hero. This Super Sunday, make sure your snack game is on point. Celebrate Pork Rind Appreciation Day. Get in on the action at PorkRinds.com.
George gets justice.
Hurt in a wreck? Get George. Hit by an 18-wheeler or commercial truck? Get George. Injured at work? Get George. When you're dealing with personal injury, you need to get George because George gets justice. I'm George Salinas, and my San Antonio-based firm has been recognized across the state of Texas and the United States. Call George Salinas Injury Lawyers today at 210-225-0909 or visit getgeorge.com.
George gets justice. GetGeorge.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, Hims can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
This is AJ Hoffman from the Morning Huddle. Join me and Rob Thompson tomorrow morning at 6 for the perfect ride to work on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Of course, we're streaming on YouTube. Just go to @SA Sports Star on YouTube. Go ahead, like, subscribe. You can comment along with the show. Claymore says Shoddy is a walking red flag, 51 years old, never hired as a head coach. Well, his red flag is his record, but we'll get into Brian Schottenheimer and the sudden interest all of a sudden right there coming up in just a second. But you can also be a part of the show by calling into it at 210-656-ESPN. That is 210-656-3776. Gary called it in. Talk about Ben Johnson to the Chicago Bears. What's going on, Gary?
Oh, it's all good in the hood. Hey, what I wanted to say is that I think that Ben Johnson believes that he sees something similar when he looks at Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
I think he believes that in time, give him a couple of years, he can fix that offensive line. I think he's going to take a page out of Dan Quinn's book. He's going to try and steal a few players from Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see Detroit go down a little bit because they're going to lose some guys. Because those guys are going to follow a guy that they trust and believe in, and they're going to move on, over to Chicago. All they got to do is just tell Caleb Williams that don't try to do too much. That gets him in trouble.
No, I could totally see that because, you look at what Kingsbury's doing, and if that's the case and they're really trying to replicate what's there, why would you go after Ben Johnson then? Why wouldn't you just go after Cliff Kingsbury, who was the architect behind all of that, and at the same time also worked with Caleb Williams at USC?
Yeah, I think that Kingsbury gave Caleb Williams a lot of leeway. And I think that that's one of the reasons why Caleb Williams thinks that, hey, I'm still at USC and Oklahoma. I can still do all that wild and crazy thing to run around like that. Man, you can't do that in the NFL. You just can't do it. These guys are a lot faster and a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you stay on the ground after a while.
I get it, man. I appreciate it, Gary. Appreciate you calling in. You're welcome back anytime. Look, I I love the Ben Johnson hire when it comes to him going to Chicago, because he had one of the most innovative and thoughtful offenses in the NFL this past season, and the past 2 seasons, really. He added to the success he had the year prior and the year before that, even leading them to this 15-1, 16-1 record throughout the regular season. Now, it fell short in the playoffs finally against the Washington Commanders, but it was successful for 3 straight years. It's not like Bobby Slowick, where it was 1 year and almost smoke and mirrors in the second year playing in a bad division. They were arguably in the best division in football with 3 playoff teams, with the Packers, Vikings, and Lions. So I could see the allure of Ben Johnson wanting him there, and I don't know if he's going to try and replicate exactly what they've done in Washington, but I do know that he sees Caleb Williams as the absolute top tier of what, in his mind, a quarterback can accomplish in his scheme, because what he did this past year was with a very immobile Jared Goff. And so having a player the stature of Caleb Williams with those kind of talents can really unlock something special there in Chicago for the first time, especially offensively, and probably the history of that team's entire franchise, because Caleb Williams is a one of one. They've never had a 4,000-yard passer until now. They don't have offenses that are designed specifically for quarterback success in years past. They have been placed tough-nosed defense, run the football, and be judicious with the football, and that's their way of making it to titles and winning titles in the past. And the NFL, while defense is a big part of it, so is offense in this league, and you have to be able to keep up, especially at the quarterback position, if you want to succeed. Speaking of keeping up at the quarterback position, the Dallas Cowboys have a quarterback that they need to get the best out of in order to keep up with everything else going on around them now, with the Commanders and the Eagles, as they get set to play for a NFC title and go to a Super Bowl this weekend. So what do? After moving on from Mike McCarthy, they have interviewed Leslie Frazier, they have interviewed Kellen Moore, and they have interviewed Robert Saleh, and they are currently in the middle of an interview because it does not appear to be over as of yet, or not reportedly over, but it started at about 4:00 with Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys for these past couple of years. And so what does Schottenheimer bring to the table? Well, it's left a lot of people, fans, panelists, everyone very, very confused as to what Brian Schottenheimer brings the Cowboys and what Jerry Jones sees in it. The Blitz tried to break it down a little bit earlier today, as Jason and Joe just going through the scenarios of what Schotty to the Cowboys could potentially mean.
You know, it's not a great idea that I think is going to end up happening, because it makes the least amount of sense. So it's the perfect thing for the Dallas Cowboys. Brian Schottenheimer is going to end up being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And honestly, I mean, my first thought is, okay, I mean, he interviewed with so many other places. Oh, wait, no, he didn't interview with anybody else for their open head coaching job, right?
No.
But Brian Schottenheimer is going to end up getting the job. And for the life of me, I saw a tweet earlier, well respected in the building. Okay. But I don't know what he did in Dallas. I don't. You don't. He didn't call plays. He's been on the staff for a while. Apparently has a great relationship with Dak Prescott, which Dak seems to like everybody. I saw Babe Laufenberg stop with the narrative that the new coach has to get along with Dak. And I agree with that. I don't care if Dak likes you or not. Can you get the most out of Dak Prescott? But are you going to get the most out of Dak Prescott and be the head coach for the entire football team? Because you're the head coach. This Schottenheimer idea of all the different candidates was the one that I thought was least likely to happen about a week ago. And now it looks like he's going to end up being the guy.
You know, Jason, this is of all the harebrained things that we've come out with and some of the more exciting things. Obviously, I was all in on Deion Sanders. That's obviously not going to happen. And, Jason Witten, that's who apparently Jerry wants down the road somewhere, but he needs some training. So Jerry's hoping to get somebody in here that will allow Jason Witten to be on the staff. But Brian Schottenheimer, I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything about Brian Schottenheimer, but just knowing that if it comes down to him and little Kellen Moore, I would much rather have Kellen Moore because at least he's a proven play caller. He knows the system. He knows Dak Prescott, and Schottenheimer does too. But I just think Moore's just got a little bit more success than Schottenheimer because from what I've read, Schottenheimer really hasn't been successful anywhere he's been.
Well, I mean, I know you don't like Kellen Moore because he looks like he's 10. Schottenheimer is 51 years old, and he's coached for a long time. He's been a quarterbacks coach, an offensive coordinator. But I'm going through. All right, so he was the offensive coordinator with Jacksonville in 2021. He was the quarterbacks coach with the Seahawks from 2018 to 2020. He was the offensive coordinator for the Colts in 2016 and 2017. I'm just, you just kind of go back and you look, what did those offenses do? With Jacksonville, he was hired. He was their passing game coordinator under Urban Meyer. That lasted a year. He was not retained when Doug Peterson came in. He was with the Colts. I mean, I don't remember. And again, some of that, who was the head coach, who was the quarterback, all that kind of stuff. But the idea that this dude could actually end up being the head coach, and I guess, hey, are you willing to take on Jason Witten? Yes. All right, you're the guy. And again, he might turn out to be the right guy, but on the surface, I mean, I know the name. We've all known the name. Schottenheimer is a famous name in coaching. But what has he actually done in Dallas? Clearly a lot more than what we gave him credit for on Mike McCarthy's staff, because Mike McCarthy was the play caller. But for him to go from, we're going to interview Schotty to he might end up getting the job, to me just blows me away.
Well, it's unbelievable, and you have to wonder. And again, it would be unfair to sit here and say this guy's going to be a bust. We don't know. I don't think anybody knows anything about him other than the people in that building. My question would be, what is his plan? What makes Jerry think that he would be a good head coach? Because he would do whatever Jerry wants? I mean, and that's what people are going to think. And the hell with satisfying the fan base, Jason. That to me is secondary, because fans are fickle. They're going to some are going to like it, some are not going to like it. What do the players think? And that's the key thing. It's not even about Jerry or Steven or anybody like that, or even Shotty. It's what do the players think of this guy, and will those players that put on that helmet on Sunday afternoon play hard for a Brian Schottenheimer the way they did for a Mike McCarthy? That's the question that I want answered, and we're not going to know that if Shotty ends up getting the job until the season begins next year. That's what I want to know. The hell with everybody else. What do the players think?
Well, and you look at it and you think about the different candidates out there. Now, reading up on Schottenheimer, in 2018, when he was the OC of the Seattle Seahawks, the Seahawks had the league's top rushing offense for the 2018 season, and Russell Wilson had a career-high passer rating of 110. Although in 21, he was fired by the Seahawks after they lost in the wild card to the Rams due to philosophical differences. Of course, you think about the head coach, Pete Carroll. His name's been mentioned a lot for this job. And you look at some of the different staffs that Schottenheimer has been a part of. I can't get mad at all the different people that he's worked with because, man, he's worked with a lot of the best. But at the same time, he has bounced around a lot. And that is, to me, a little bit concerning, although he's been in Dallas since 2022, started there as a passing game coordinator and coaching analyst, and then became the OC when Kellen Moore moved on. But again, he didn't call plays. You look around and you go, all right, Anthony Lynn, he coached on the Cowboys staff before. Jerry knows him. He's interviewed for the job. Robert Saleh, he didn't impress Jerry, or because he's defensive minded, that's not what Jerry was looking for. It's just
or Saleh wasn't looking for that. I mean, Saleh, I've seen he's going to get a second interview with the Jags. Yep. Then San Francisco is begging him to come back to be their defensive coordinator. So I don't know it's Jerry didn't like Saleh, or maybe Saleh didn't like what Jerry had to say. Could be a combination of both. But I don't look at Robert Saleh as ever being a serious candidate for the Dallas Cowboys. It just seems to me like it was an interview just to do it, and then Brian Schottenheimer pops out of nowhere. I don't know. It's just a crazy thing, and it's just been crazy in Dallas over the last year plus with the free agent period, with not doing anything there, with the whole Mike McCarthy debacle, and now your head coaching search.
And the head coaching search has been wild in the sense of no formal interviews with Dion, just his name has been thrown out there. And who knows, maybe Brian Schottenheimer turns out to be a lot the way of a Josh McCown. But I have a thought process, a couple of different thought processes. The biggest one is I don't think that Brian Schottenheimer is a serious candidate. I think Brian Schottenheimer not getting the reaction they need was a name to put out that discourages the fan base, so that when Kellen Moore is actually hired, people are enthralled that A, it's not Brian Schottenheimer, and B, it is someone with experience and success as a play caller with Dak Prescott. I think those are reasons behind why you float out a name like Brian Schottenheimer, who's not shown up in any other coaching searches anywhere, especially with Dallas, until just recently for some unbeknownst reason. The only reason, if they actually do end up hiring him, I don't think they will, but if they do, is because Kellen Moore didn't want to accept Jason Witten onto his staff, or money didn't match up, or Dak Prescott has a really big voice in that room if he is truly that high on Brian Schottenheimer being a head coach. Those are the only reasons that they would move forward with Brian Schottenheimer, because everybody likes to talk about the attractiveness of the Dallas Cowboys and that job. If you're settling on a Brian Schottenheimer, if Kellen Moore has told you no, apparently they had a great interview with Robert Saleh, according to reports. If he's telling them no too, then how great is that job? How much do people actually want to work with Jerry Jones, especially after what they just saw him do to Mike McCarthy publicly this year? Not giving him an extension, making him play through it. Keep telling everybody you want him to come back. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the year, deny him a chance to go interview for the Chicago job, and then let him move on after his contract expires. That's dirty pool. And if you're a first-time or an up-and-coming head coach, do you really want that to be your first experience as a head coach? Not saying, but there is the potential that the way that the Cowboys have handled their business lately is rubbing people the wrong way. But most importantly, I think that this was a ploy to make Kellen Moore look like a more desirable candidate, because there wasn't a initial surge of support for Kellen Moore. But you heard Joe say it right there. Man, if it's Brian Schottenheimer that they're looking at, I would much rather have Kellen Moore. And that's what Jerry wants out of this, I think. What say you? 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. David Macias says he disagrees with Joe. The fans buy the merch, the tickets. They don't care about the fans. They won't show up. Look, if the fans don't show up, that's the quickest way to get your point across. That's what the Texans did. They stopped showing up. They stopped buying stuff. And all of a sudden, you finally move into, we got to hire D'Amico Ryans. We got to restore faith in the franchise. And they did. Claymore says he doesn't doubt that coaches being like in a fraternity, talk and share the info through their agents and their clients. Kellen Moore tasted life outside of Dallas. He ain't coming back, says Claymore. And that may be the case. That may be the case. Because remember, Nick Sirianni was on as hot a seat as you could potentially be. Yet he's a coach that has lost 2 games this season and is heading to another NFC title game. Look, the pressure gets turned up no matter where you're at. At some point, the pressure always get turned up to the next level because there is no such thing as being able to win enough, even if you're Kansas City. Kansas City fans want another Super Bowl. And after they win this one, they're going to want another one after that. No fan base is going to be satisfied until they get somebody fired because you can't live up to a fan's expectations consistently. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. When we come back, who's got the best chance to get to the title game next year? Well, the Morning Huddle discussed it. Plus, Joe Mixon and the Texans. There's a lot going on there. We'll get into it, see what they may be cooking up down in Houston. Coming up right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Hump Day on the Huddle. We'll take a look at the coaching carousel, see who's coming up next, who's going to be the head man in Dallas, and recapping a big night of college hoops. All that and plenty more. Morning Huddle starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Morning 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-505-9603, 800-505-9603, 800-505-9603.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pleasure. Thanks for spending your Tuesday evening with me on this cold, frigid Tuesday down here in South Texas, where we got to see a little dusting of snow today. A lot of people got the day off from work. Some of them just got to work from home. I got neither of those things, so I am here to bring you the news. And the latest news is that Phoenix Suns making a trade. Phoenix Suns are sending their unprotected, this according to Shams, and something tells me Shams is getting really close to just dancing all over Jimmy Butler's agent's grave, because Phoenix is trading their unprotected first-round pick in 2031 to the Utah Jazz in exchange for the first-round pick in 25, 27, and 29. The 25 pick will be the least favorable of either the Cleveland or Minnesota Timberwolves pick that they own. The 27 and 29 picks will be the least favorable of the picks that they own from either Cleveland, Minnesota, or their own in Utah. So why would you be attempting to acquire this much draft capital if you are the Phoenix Suns? If you only have one draft pick and you're trying to turn that into multiple first-round draft picks, why would you be doing that? Because you're about to make a trade. Likely, you're about to trade those draft picks you just received and package a Bradley Beal in an attempt to probably get Jimmy Butler out of Miami. Because remember, Shams put out a report earlier this year, and he said, Jimmy Butler, and it was all the teams, Houston, Golden State, but he threw Phoenix in there. And Jimmy's agent fought back really hard against Phoenix and got into a Twitter beef with Shams. And he comes on the next day and says, this is the most vetted story I've ever done. I will put anything that I want on this. I am standing by this story. Now Phoenix makes a move to get a whole bunch of picks as Jimmy returns from suspension to go back to Miami, and all of a sudden, doubled down earlier today, he said that he still wants out of Miami. So what could potentially be in the works when you're trading a first-round pick far out in 2031 for 3 first-round picks in a much closer, succinct time period? Something tells me that you attach 3 picks instead of 1 onto a player like Bradley Beal, who has not worked out to this point in Phoenix. Maybe he can be a closer version to who he was. And all of a sudden, you got D-Book, you got Durant, you got Butler. They have been trying to build a big 3 that works. That has been Phoenix's philosophy, is get an accumulation of massive talent together with 3 huge max salary type players and see if we can make this work. And they have bet and mortgaged the entire future on this premise. Now we'll see if that will finally pay off, if they can find the right collection of a big 3. And something tells me that third is about to become Jimmy Butler. This is Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star. What say you? 210-656-3776. J4 asking, so the plan's Booker, Durant, and Butler? Yeah, the plan, Book, Durant, and Butler. Why else would you be acquiring multiple draft picks to try and acquire those unless you're hopefully unloading those? That's why Houston acquired so many draft picks from Brooklyn and now Phoenix. They got Phoenix's draft picks because they're trying to coerce them into, hey, we'll give you your picks back if you give us Kevin Durant. Claymore says if he's Miami, he's not thrilled with Beal. Look, I get it. But at some point, Butler's raising enough of a stink, and we've seen it throughout the history of the NBA. If you are disgruntled enough, if you are prickly enough with front office, if you can make a big enough wave, you will get what you want. Not only will you normally get traded, you will normally get to where you want to go eventually. We've seen it throughout the NBA for like the last 10 to 15 years. Players pick and choose where they want to play next. Teams have to find a way to make that work. How can you maximize when somebody hands you a list of teams and says, this is what I want? If you've eliminated half the league and there's only 3 or 4 teams, or if there's only one team on that list, there's nobody to bid against. It makes it hard for teams to recoup the value that is needed for that. And there may be only one Pat Riley, Claymore. You're right. There might be only one. But even Pat Riley has fallen victim to this because he lost LeBron James. Players get to pick where they end up. Look at LeBron the first time he went to Miami. He told Cleveland, I'm going to Miami. You can either get something for me or nothing for me, but you're going to trade me to Miami, or I'm just going to go to Miami in free agency. Players run the league, and they get to dictate their terms. Certain front offices will push back against that, like the Spurs did with Kawhi Leonard. Oh, you want to go to LA? We're sending you to Toronto because it's best for us. He went to Toronto, won a title, got to LA immediately. So players get what they want in the NBA usually. In the NFL, not so much. But the Houston Texans, they're letting it known that they're cooking something up. We'll explain what that might be next, right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
San Antonio's Sports Star.
Take the guesswork out of buying and selling your home with Orchard. Hi, Jason Minix here from 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Will your home sell in time? Which upgrades are worth it? Can you keep your home show ready with a busy life? Orchard has all the answers. With Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program, you can buy your new home before selling your old one. It's simple. Orchard gives you an equity advance, unlocking cash to buy your new home first. That's right. You don't have to wait for your old place to sell. You can move in right away. And no more rushing out for showings or constant cleaning because Orchard sells your old home after you've settled into your new home. Orchard even handles repairs and improvements at no out-of-pocket cost to you. Their local pros know which upgrades bring you the most money, so you sell for top dollar. Buy before you sell and skip the selling hassles with Orchard. Start your free home valuation at Orchard.com. That's Orchard.com. If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings.
Order for Jennifer C. Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve? Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine? Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Oh, really? That's great. Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Yeah, you just said that. Did you say I just said that? Yeah, I'm cutting you off. I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. I see Freedom Ride. Not going to block you. We're all here to voice our opinions, and we take the information we have at hand, and you incorporate past tendencies, and you try and come up with the best possible solution to what you see happening in front of you. And what I see happening in front of me in Houston is a team that has been very active in wanting to crush through that glass ceiling, right? And Joe Mixon's heading to the Pro Bowl, and in his locker cleanout yesterday, he was being talked to by the media about going to the Pro Bowl this year, and if it's potential for him to be on a recruiting mission of sorts for Nick Caserio.
First off, I'm going to say I'm a great recruiter. But another thing on top of that is I'm not here to sell no dream. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, whether, going to the Pro Bowl or if I was just at the crib and, free agency started, whatever the case it is, man, when it comes down to it, definitely going to do whatever we can to obviously improve the team. When it comes down to it, I just try to do whatever I can to help my teammates, help our team win and become successful. I mean, that's why I do this, and that's why I love the game of football, man. That's why I play this. So definitely look forward to that recruiting aspect, having fans, very excited and engaged to obviously who we're basically additions to the team. And I know for a fact that Nick got something cooked up right now. So definitely all excited for it, and fireworks will be here real soon.
Nick's got something cooking, and that doesn't shock me because Nick, since he got to Houston, has had stuff cooking, trading back, up, down, and whether it's smaller moves or bigger moves like last year where you go get a Daniel Hunter and a Stephon Diggs and a Joe Mixon. He has moved around the draft consistently. He is going to make some moves. What could he be alluding to? Well, he could be alluding to anything. I saw that the Rams may be looking to move on from Cooper Kupp. He screams Houston Texan, at least with that version of their offense that they run both out there in LA and in Houston. It is a zone scheme run wide receivers block style offense, and he would be a great fit. But Joe Mixon knows something. Who do he used to play for? The Cincinnati Bengals. Who's one of the biggest free agent target wide receivers this offseason? T. Higgins. Could they potentially have something in the works? Has he been talking with his buddy from the other team? I don't know. But I'll tell you this. It's going to make it a very exciting offseason for the Houston Texans to see what Nick Caserio cooks up. I appreciate all y'all for riding along with me, as always, here on Extra Innings with Pleasure. Be careful out there on those roads. We know snow melts. All of a sudden, you got water. Cold temperatures turns into ice. Be careful out there and check on your friends. You never know what they're going through in life. So just make sure to be there for them. Appreciate all y'all for rolling through. Coming up next, we got Amber and Ian on ESPN Radio right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hey guys, it's AJ from the Morning Huddle. Between us, when you hit a certain age, things start to feel a little off, right? You're tired all the time, your energy's low, maybe even your drive isn't what it used to be. And a lot of that comes down to testosterone. And trust me, it can happen to the best of us. That's where Game Day Men's Health comes in. They know how we feel, and they make it easy. Game Day Men's Health is over there on Bassey Road across from the Quarry. Their office has a relaxed man cave vibe, and they've built a 3-step process that's quick and designed just for us. First, get your teeth